It was a warm Sunday night in Los Angeles, June 12, 1994. The kind of quiet, suburban evening when no one expects anything out of the ordinary. But just after midnight, that calm was shattered. And when neighbors followed the dog down a narrow walkway in the upscale Brentwood neighborhood, they made a gruesome discovery. A neighbor's dog was barking nonstop, pacing, agitated. Lay the lifeless bodies of 35-year-old Nicole Brown Simpson and 25-year-old Ron Goldman. A pair of eyeglasses, a knit cap, and a single leather glove were found near the bodies. No suspects, just the beginning of what would become the most watched and most controversial criminal trial in modern American history. Nicole's throat had been slashed so deeply she was nearly decapitated. Ron had multiple stab wounds, his hands blooded as if he tried to fight for his life. There, just outside the entrance of a modest condo, more blood. The glove found at the crime scene. It had traces of Nicole, Ron, and OJ's DNA. Heisman Trophy winner, movie actor, corporate pitch. Simpson became a fugitive, and by sunset, America was glued to their televisions. The juice? Helicopters hovered. Crowds gathered on overpasses, holding signs, some cheering, others praying. In the back seat, OJ with a gun to his head. News stations cut away from NBA Finals coverage to follow the Bronco. It was a moment that stopped the nation. Blood pooled on the walkway. No witnesses. In for questioning, he didn't say much. He appeared shaken, confused, emotional, but he wasn't arrested immediately. Authorities wanted more evidence. And while they gathered it, OJ made a plan. Within hours, police suspicion turned toward one man. Nicole's ex-husband, Orenthal James Simpson, known to the world simply as OJ, a former NFL superstar. He was charming, loved, famous, and now, possibly a killer. Not just to defend OJ, but to flip the entire narrative. The story the LAPD would piece together in the coming days felt like something out of a Hollywood script X. It was real. They believed they had an airtight case bolstered by DNA evidence. Robert Shapiro, Alan Dershowitz, F. Lee Bailey, and Barry Scheck. And if Furman couldn't be trusted, how could the evidence be? A long history of domestic violence and a mountain of circumstantial proof. The prosecution asked OJ to try on the bloody gloves found at the crime scene in his home. According to OJ, he was home that night, packing for a flight to Chicago, but inconsistencies began piling up fast. His white Ford Bronco had bloodstains. Police found a trail of blood at his home, leading from the driveway into the house. Inside the Bronco, they tore apart the chain of custody of evidence. And, most importantly, they focused their attacks on one man, Detective Mark Foreman. And then there was the second, glove found behind OJ's guest house. The LAPD brought OJ on June 17th, 5 days after the murder. Simpson was scheduled to turn himself in, but he didn't show up. Instead, OJ, a white Ford Bronco, driven by OJ's longtime friend Al Cowlings, was cruising down the 405 freeway at a crawl. It was surreal. Police followed. The chase was broadcast live to 95 million people across the country. After hours of negotiation, OJ finally surrendered in his driveway, and that, unbelievably, was just the beginning. What followed over the next year was a courtroom drama unlike anything America had ever seen. The people of the state of California the media dubbed it the trial of the century. On one side, the prosecution, Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden. On the other, the Dream Team, an all-star defense squad led by high-powered attorneys, Johnny Cochran. Their mission, and they did it masterfully. They painted OJ as a victim of police misconduct, racism, and a rush to judgment. They questioned the integrity of the LA. Furman had discovered key evidence in the case, including the infamous glove behind OJ's house. But under cross-examination, his credibility unraveled. Foreman was asked directly, "Have you ever used the N-word in the past 10 years? He said no, but the defense had tapes Foreman on tape, using racist slurs, making vile remarks about black suspects. It was explosive. The message from the defense was clear. This man can't be trusted. Then came the glove. In a moment of courtroom theater that would go down in history, OJ struggled to put them on. Grimaced, flexed his hands. The gloves appeared too tight. It was a dramatic miscalculation by the prosecution. They were trying to prove a match. Instead, they handed the defense a headline. Johnny Cochran delivered the most famous line of the trial. "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." Those 7 words sealed the deal in the minds of many jurors. After more than 130 days of testimony, thousands of pieces of evidence, and months of non-stop media coverage, the jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. On October 3, 1995, the verdict was read live on television. Schools turned on TVs. Offices came to a halt. Over 100 million people watched. We, the jury, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty. Wept. Nicole's family sat in stunned silence. Ron Goldman's sister sobbed. In the courtroom, OJ others saw it as a clear case of a guilty man walking free. Across America, Reactions were sharply divided largely along racial lines. Some celebrated the acquittal as a long overdue pushback against a corrupt justice system. Libel and ordered him to pay $33.5 million in damages. He never paid the full amount, but the legal battles weren't over. In 1997, the families of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman filed a civil suit against O.J. Simpson for wrongful death. This time, the burden of proof was lower, and this time, they won. Convicted. Sentenced to 33 years in prison. He served 9. The jury found O.J. Simpson was released on parole. Today, he lives quietly in Las Vegas. He plays golf, posts on social media, occasionally pops up in interviews. Years past, O.J. kept a low profile until 2007. In Las Vegas, he and a group of men entered a hotel room to retrieve what O.J. claimed were stolen sports memorabilia items. But they were armed. It was caught on tape. This time, there was no dream team. He was charged with multiple felonies, including armed robbery and kidnapping. In 2017, O.J. but for many, he remains a symbol of something deeper. A flashpoint in American culture. The O.J. Simpson trial wasn't just about murder. It was about race, fame, media, and justice. It exposed the cracks in our legal system and in our society. To this day, people ask, did he do it? The evidence, compelling. The doubts, real. The verdict, final. But the truth, that still depends on who you ask.